Kathy, welcome back.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
Representing the 46th district, and a lot of the events that are happening in the 46th you're at. I noticed if you look at the JTV ORS galleries, there's Kathy Schmaltz.
Quit taking my picture at places. Yeah, no, it's great to get out there. We have so many great events going on, and I love being out there talking to people because that's where you find out what everybody needs and what we should be working on. So it's great. And spring training has started, so I'm all excited about that. And we got nice weather today, so.
Yeah, a week ago, they hit Lakeland, and it looks like finishing strong last year is the hope that we're going to start strong this year.
Yes, no, I'm very optimistic about that. And then the Lions are regrouping, and that'll be good too. So.
Yeah, this could be the year. All right, last week, a lot, and it's been going on. It's for weeks and weeks. This tipped workers, small business, the increase in minimum wage. There's just a lot that a lot of people thought, well, this was decided and passed and in place, but the legislature has stepped in and made some changes. Where are we?
Right. Well, the court ruling went into effect last Friday, and of course we were there till 11:20. I think we finally agreed on something. Of course, we as Republicans, we control the House. The Democrats control the Senate, so we had to compromise on this. Now, the court ruling that would have gone into effect was really going to be a hardship on our tipped workers and our businesses, especially our small businesses. So we had to do something to help them. And I was on the Select Commission to protect workers and businesses, and we heard from people from Jackson, from Chelsea, just talking about what we needed to do to fix this. So we did come up with a compromise. On the tipped wage, we did save that. It's 38% of the minimum wage. It goes up to 50% in 2031. And then, of course, the minimum wage went up to $12.48 Friday. It'll go up to $15 in 2017. So that was a good compromise. Mm-hmm. Now, the paid sick leave, we did want businesses 50 employees or less to be exempt. The Senate wouldn't go for that at all. So what we did was businesses less than 10 employees, they have to give 40 hours of paid sick leave. It can be given up front, called front loading, or accrued over time. And then businesses 11 or more employees, 72 hours.
I'm surprised the Senate was so hard line on having a lower number of employees for businesses to be impacted by that.
Right, and we pushed hard for that, but they weren't going to go do anything with that. So we did the best we could. We will keep working. You know, I feel our job as lawmakers is to help workers and to help businesses stay in business. And of course, if some of these rules would have gone into effect, we would have lost some businesses and workers would have been laid off. And so we had to do something to fix this. Mm-hmm. For new businesses, which is good, if you just start, you get 3 years to comply. If you're a year old, 2 years to comply, you know, until you reach that 3-year mark. So that was good. And then there's different provisions for seasonal and part-time and all that. So we gave businesses more flexibility and more options, as well as workers who are getting their paid sick time. So it turned out the best that we could.
When you consider the changes, do you look at what's happening in Indiana, Ohio, Illinois to see, in terms of an economic development reason, to be more on par or maybe even more competitive than surrounding states?
Oh, sure. We look at different states and what they're doing too. But you know, Michigan's unique in a lot of different ways. So we have to look at our state and what's best for our state, our workers, and our businesses. And that's what we pushed for.
So what is the deal for someone who's a waitress or a waiter now?
So it's 38% of the minimum wage.
38%.
And normally the business they don't make enough money. They have to pay the minimum wage to get them up to that level. So tipped workers say, you know, they really fought for these tips to stay in place because that's where they make most of their money. Mm-hmm. And they were just really worried if that went away that they wouldn't be able to pay their bills and it was just going to be a catastrophe. And of course, menu prices would have gone up. 20% of restaurants said they would have closed. So we really had to work and get this done. It should have been done last year, but of course, that didn't happen.
So the compromise, the small business restaurant owners, they're happy?
Well, everybody could be a lot happier,
okay.
But we can still work on this as time goes by and hopefully make it better as time goes by. But right now, we gave them more options and more flexibility. So it's not going to be as tough on them as it would have been if we did nothing.
So if you're a wait person and you are considering a change, maybe you want to look at a new restaurant to work at, are restaurants going to be in competition with one another for staff? And are they going to be able to use?
No, I don't think now, because it stays the same right now.
It stays the same.
It
Okay.
goes to 40%, I think, in 2026. It's 38% now, so small increments. And then it doesn't go up to 50% till 2031. So we really did pretty much keep that steady.
And then the tips, the tax on tips, it's up to them to report, but isn't there a minimum assumption that they get certain tips?
So we have, actually we have a bill in the State House too, and of course they're talking about federally to take taxes off of tips. And I expect that one will pass too.
Yeah. Well, I think that was one of the campaign promises by maybe both presidential candidates last year.
Right. So that will happen federally, but I also co-sponsored a bill in the State House last term that we take taxes off of tips. And you know, if your bills don't get through the first term, you have to reintroduce everything the second term. So I think I just reintroduced about 15 bills right now to get them going again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why you were chosen as the champion of free enterprise by the Michigan Chamber.
Yes, that was nice. And Small Business Association, we got Legislator of the Year, because it's really important that we support our small businesses and help them any way we can. And that's one of the reasons we're there.
A couple of things happening in the last week or so. Today, we learned that the community will be getting some marijuana tax money, and quite a bit. Leone, the marijuana capital of Jackson County, will be getting nearly $750,000. City of Jackson, Jackson County together will get close to $200,000. Pulaski, Brooklyn, Parma, each getting $58,000. This money coming from taxes on marijuana is also supposed to support schools and roads. What kind of money are they getting?
So the governor did, in her budget proposal, which is I think $83.5 billion, $1 billion more than last year, did propose taking the taxes like they do on tobacco and making marijuana taxes part of her budget. So if that goes through, that means those taxes will go up. She did have a road plan. We have a road plan too. Her road plan does call for raising taxes. Our road plan calls for cutting budget and you know, certain things, earmarks and certain things that we don't need. For example, in the budget this year, they have hiring, the past 2 years, 1,500 more state employees, which we don't need. I mean, right there you can cut. There's so many different areas we can cut. So we found the $3 billion to fix local roads without raising taxes. And in her budget proposal, she has raising taxes like the marijuana tax to pay for roads.
But we still don't see in her budget any kind of road solution.
No, but the state of the state is Wednesday. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what she comes up with, if she's going to talk about road funding. But we're moving ahead with ours. I mean, we want to take care of local roads. There's a few things we wanted to make sure. Local road, this paid sick leave was done, and the tipped wage. Affordability, which is so important, which I have a lot of bills dealing with that, and transparency and accountability. Those are the things we're working on.
One thing that is in her budget that she has announced is an increase in per pupil funding for education. A lot of superintendents aren't yet jumping for joy because that could change between here and there.
Well, yeah, and they got no per pupil funding last year. So it really, really hurt our school district. It's about a 4% in her budget this year. For this year's budget. And they took out, we had $3 million for safety and resource officers and health, mental health, and they took that out last year, only put back half. Luckily, she put some more money in the budget for it this year. So we'll see what happens. But yes, I get calls from our school superintendents, and they're hurting right now because they got no per pupil increase. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at what we can do with that.
We've got a couple of state grants coming to the community, one for extension of the MLK Equality Trail.
We've gotten a few of those over the years, and those still keep coming in. We're working on more for that. and Jackson Symphony Orchestra. They received almost, $96,000 from the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity. They help, it's a symphony recovery program. They help symphonies across the state. And so that's good. We need to support our arts. I'm on the Arts Caucus at the state, whether it's Purple Rose Theater, Michigan Theater, Jackson School of the Arts, Symphony Orchestra. It's just really important to do that.
Yeah, Michigan Theater received a big grant last year
Right.
for their capital campaign.
We got the carpet in and everything looks great, and we'll have a big opening sometimes, but yeah, looks wonderful in there.
Yeah, it does. Well, you're the chair of the House's Families and Veterans Committee. What's on your...
I was very happy to get that chair. I'm also on the Energy and the Health, which I was last year, and Communication and Technology. But most of my bills will probably go to my committee, being Families and Veterans, and that's really important because that's one reason why I ran, was to help our children, seniors, veterans, the most vulnerable people. So I'm excited for that. We'll have our first meeting in March, and then we'll start working on different bills.
All right. I
also have the 2nd Lieutenant Roosevelt Steiger Highway renaming that I'm going to reintroduce this week. So that'll be part of 127 by the I-94 interchange, the East Michigan Meyer. So as you know, the Tuskegee Airmen, 2nd Lieutenant Roosevelt Steiger, was from Jackson. And I introduced this last year, but it didn't get through. He was born in Tennessee in 1919, came to Jackson, went to U of M, died in an escort mission over Austria in 1944, does have a Purple Heart. And the students at the Heritage Center at Jackson College, they, of course, make the invisible visible by finding historical figures in our past that helped shape Jackson. So they found 2nd Lieutenant Roosevelt Steiger, and we're going to get everybody involved, the Michigan Military Museum, get everybody out there, and we'll get that sign up. So I'm going to reintroduce that this year. That's exciting.
Cool. All right, coming soon. Appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Kathy Schmaltz, 46th District State Representative.